oblige, but I must start with a verse, and I'm going to need your help for this. With a verse from Psalm 118. A verse that maybe best expresses the overwhelming gratitude in my heart, in our hearts today as we've reached this milestone. The verse of Keli Ata Vodeka, Elohai Aromemeka. You are my God, and I will thank you. You are my Lord, and I will elevate you. So please help me in joining the song, because again, I don't think there's a better way to express the language of our heart than in song. Keli Ata Vodeka. Who I know wish he could have been here today. Fortunately, as we all know, CBT had a stroke 2 years ago, and Hashem sent him a full and speedy recovery. But he once told me that he caught his grandchild playing Lego. What's the grandchild of a great rabbi doing? Playing Lego. What is she building? A synagogue, of course. So she built the ark, she built the benches. And then out of curiosity, he asked her, so tell me, what's the most important part of the synagogue? And she looked up at him with great astonishment, and she said to him, Rabbi, what? You don't know, Saba? The most important part is the people. It's the people that's the most important part. Indeed, you, each of you, are the most important part, and therefore we thank God. But we thank you. You may know the story of this terrible fire that erupted in a home, and many firemen came and tried to save the people, the furniture, everything in the home. No one was successful. So they called all of the fire stations, all of the firemen that they knew, including the local Jewish fire station. And all of a sudden, this local fire station storms to the site with a damaged fire truck, and it runs not through one layer of flames, not two, not three, all the way to the home. It drives right through. And they came out trying to gasp for some oxygen and help the people around. They were successful miraculously. They came out. Another fireman started asking him, how were you successful? None of us were. What did you do? And this Jewish fireman said, oh, that old truck we have, its brakes don't work. And we went right through the fire, not out of choice, but out of default. My friends, here at CBT, we go right through the flames of life, not to put out fires, but to turn them on, to turn the fire of our souls, to ensure that every Jew indeed has a place called home. That's why we are here, that's why we built this. But it's not enough to have this. And I'm inspired by a quick thought from this week's portion, in which we are told that Jacob was left alone. Vayivater Yaakov levado, vayavek ish imo ad alot hashachar. And a man came and wrestled with him until sunrise. Who was this man? Rashi says, Raboteinu pirshu saro shel Esav. Our rabbis thought that this was the minister of Esav, of his brother who was wanting to kill him. Fast forward to the next portion, and we find the same Ish, the same man. But here Rashi has a different interpretation. What verse? וימצאהו איש טועה בשדה, ויאמר לו מה תבקש. A man found Joseph, who was wandering in the fields, Jacob's son, Joseph. And he asked him, "Ma tevakesh, what are you looking for? What do you want?" Joseph responded, "Et achai anochi mevakesh, I am searching for my brothers. Please let me know where they are shepherding their sheep." Who was that man who found Joseph and asked him, "What do you want?" Rashi should be consistent, right? He doesn't say it was a minister of someone. He says it was an angel. The angel Gabriel. He found him. Now what's the difference between the two? I mean, why can't Rashi be consistent? If you're going to say that Ish in one portion is a minister, is a human being, say that Ish in another portion is also a minister, a human being. But the answer, my friends, of course, is in the context of things. In the context of Jacob being alone, there Jacob is vulnerable, he's afraid. Here comes a man who tries to manipulate him, exploit the situation, fight with him, and to try and crush him. In the context of Joseph wandering in the field, here comes a man who does not want to exploit a situation, who does not turn to vulnerability and extinguish it. What does he do? He says, "Ma tevakesh, what do you want?" A man that asks a wandering person, "What do you want?" cannot be a human being. It must be an angel. Only angels turn to each other and say, "How can I help you? You seem afraid. You seem to be in the same situation as your father was decades ago, Jacob. But what do you want?" Ma tevakesh. Friends, here at CBT, that is our motto. Ma tevakesh. What do you want? In fact, Valerie, I don't know, is it outside in the signage? Where is she? It should be. Ma tevakesh. What does Joseph respond? Tachai anochi mevakesh. I'm searching for belonging. I'm searching for my brothers. I'm searching for love. I'm searching for someone to connect my soul to his or hers. That's what I'm searching for. And when we turn to our brothers and sisters, when we say to them, "Ma tevakesh," my friends, that turns us into angels. That is what makes us heavenly, divine. That's what makes our congregation so heavenly and divine. Ma tevakesh, that's why we created this. Not to create a community of followers, to create a community of leaders who shout out from the mountaintops of Arizona and from the valleys of this desert, "Ma tevakesh, what do you want? How can I help you?" I remember that just 2 weeks before Bill Smith, that we mentioned before, passed, he sent me a lovely email in which he opened himself up almost surgically, as he would do quite often, but this time it was coming from his inner depths. And he told me, "Rabbi, you once asked me a question of why is it that I'm so passionate about building this building. I have the answer for you. Do you know why? When I first met you, when I first came to your congregation, I sensed a sense of belonging that I did not feel my entire life. I thought money would give that to me. I thought building buildings would give that to me. I thought being a big shot would give that to me. It did not. And for the first time, I sensed a sense of belonging. And then I said to myself, why should I keep it just for myself? Let's build a building so that everyone can sense the same sense of belonging. Friends, that's why we exist. The theme of tonight is be grand, think grand, do grand. Do you know what makes you and I grand? What makes you and I an angel? If we can turn to the world, take the CBT spirit and say, Ma tevakesh. What do you want? I want to conclude with a beautiful Hasidic story about a child, a 7-year-old child who later became a great rabbi himself, a Hasidic rabbi. And he was playing with his brother, a 5-year-old. Now, what do two children of great rabbis play? Not Lego, building synagogues. Lego didn't exist then. What do? They play the game of rabbi and student. The rabbi was a 7-year-old. The student was a 5-year-old. So the rabbi, the 7-year-old tells the student, 5-year-old, ask me a question, I'm your rabbi. And the 5-year-old says, I have a question for you. I just studied in the Torah that the Hashem Elokecha Esh Ochlau, God is a consuming fire. So he says, I have a simple question. If God is a consuming fire, how can we come close to him? He'll burn us. And the 7-year-old, with his great and sharp mind, with his wisdom, responded, that's easy. Inside of you, you have a piece of fire. That's your soul. And when fire touches fire, it doesn't burn, it only expands. My friends, we are here to touch our fires together. Or in the words of the Beatles, come together. Come together and create this dance of flames that will truly shout out Matan Vakesh so that it can expand itself more and more and more to the four corners of the world. That's why we are here. So I call upon you, indeed, Vicky, you were right, this is only the beginning. What's the continuation? It's simple. Turn yourself into an angel. Shout out to the world, Matan Vakesh. Take our heritage, our traditions, and tell the fellow Jews that you know, the fellow human beings that you know, to do yet another mitzvah, to grow in their own way, to advance in their spiritual path. Matan Vakesh. And if we do so, my friends, the verse that we just read yesterday, in yesterday's portion, will be fulfilled in us. It will not only just elevate us and transform us into angels, but I have no doubt that it will change and illuminate the world. The verse of Ufaratzta, Yama, Vakedma, Tzafona, Vanedba, Venivrechu Vecha, Kol Mishpechot Adama Uvezarecha, you will burst forth to the east, to the west, to the south, to the north, everywhere. And the people of this planet Earth will be blessed in you, with you, and through you. Thank you very much.